So I went to Granite State ComicCon, which is a Comic-Con that happens on the East Coast, specifically in Manchester, New Hampshire, every year around September. I used to go every year, and I actually haven't been able to go in like a hot minute. And this year I went, and it was crazy. Like, it was so busy. While I was there, I tried to find a couple different comics to talk about. I love to try to find an indie publisher or just someone doing like a small batch of comics, just because I would never get the chance necessarily to find those comics or read those comics if I didn't come across them at a Comic-Con, you know what I mean? But this video is for The House of Lowther by Kaylin Smith. I came across her table, spoke with her for a while. I even asked her if I could make this video, which is crazy. I think this is the first time I've ever gotten to actually ask someone if I could review their comic instead of just being like a person yelling at my computer. Not that I have any weight in regards to reviews of comics. I just like to talk about them. I like to read them. And now I'm rambling. So I'm going to break down the book as much as I can. I'm going to try not to spoil it because it's a mystery, and talk about what I liked. Also, where you can find it, because it is on Webtoons, which I didn't know when I bought the book, and I'm gonna have a point about that probably too. So let's get into it. The House of Lowther follows Sawyer Ellis, who took a job working like custodial or janitorial at this creepy mansion, gothic mansion, that doubles as like a house and rehabilitation center for patients with odd tendencies. I'll say. It's not really a secret. The patients themselves are cryptids and fantastical creatures. It's revealed pretty early in the book. I'm not counting that towards part of the mystery. This includes characters like a Sasquatch that has small feet, or Bigfoot with small feet, a Jersey Devil that doesn't like to get dirty. He is very conscious of germs, a vampire that has a really hard time turning back and forth into a bat and not having an extra set of wings or oversized ears, and a werewolf that cannot turn into a human at will.
Tall, dark, and handsome.
I know if you watch my channel or you've seen any of my other videos, I talk too much about werewolves. In my defense, I didn't know this had a werewolf in it when I bought this book, so it doesn't really count. So the story follows Sawyer as she develops relationships with the patients and the people that she works alongside, as well as she unravels some of the mysteries of the House of Lowther. It's really hard to tell you any of the breadcrumbs of those mysteries or mystery without kind of spoiling the book itself. But I will say it's not necessarily a surprising twist, but I think it's executed incredibly well. The book itself is the first volume of I don't know how many, but the second volume recently had a Kickstarter that went well enough that they're making it, which is fantastic. And I'll have to keep an eye out for the next physical volume. The art of the book is also really nice. It's black and white, clean and easy to look at, which is great. Stylistically, it's very like approachable gothic, if that makes sense. And although it's black and white, there is very sparse use of color later on in chapters that aren't in this volume, but are later in the webtoon. So I assume will be in the physical copies of that book. I also really like the creature designs. They do a great job at balancing scary and approachable without it feeling too cartoonish. And a Mothman's in this book, so they get props for that. I love when he gets to be creepy and just kind of around. The story itself is very well written, and it never felt too clunky or like the text was spilling over the images. Sometimes I think comics specifically, especially when it's so story-based, which I know is shocking, the story has a story.
It's almost like that's the whole point.
Can get a little muddled with the text to visual ratio. And now is the part where I talk about the webtoon versus the book and why I think you should get the book, or at least a PDF version of the page layout.
That's old school.
Yeah? No school like the old school.
Stylistically, the pacing and the panel-to-panel readability works so much better in the book than it does on the webtoon. I understand the style of Webtoon. I don't particularly like the scrolling system of Webtoon, and I think this book is one worth checking out with a page format and less with this girl. It still looks nice, don't get me wrong. When comparing the two, I think it's stronger as a physical book, and I'm happy to own this as a physical book. At the same time, this volume ends on a cliffhanger, and you can read past it on the Webtoon. So if you do get this and you're like, oh my gosh, what happens next? And you need to know right away, like me, then you can check it out there. Or if you're interested in the story and just kind of want a hint to see if you really want to buy it. But, you know, I don't make these videos if I don't think that you should check out the book. Usually, every once in a while I get better, but, you know. Overall, I really liked it. I actually bought this comic today. I'm recording this Saturday of the convention at 11:53 p.m. So, yeah, I wanted to hop on it. I just finished this, read what's available, and then I jumped to record this. So, yeah. Also, just as an aside, Kaylin Smith is super sweet. She was the first person that I've been able to be like, I make YouTube videos. Is it okay if I make a video about your comic? Which is so lame. It makes me sound so pompous, but she was really sweet about it. So if you see this video, you were really nice, and I'm so sorry you had to talk to me. The Chupacabra in this book was very relatable to me because he doesn't stop talking. That's so me. Yeah, I don't really have a point to this video, and I don't really have a way to close it. I think you should check it out. I got a few other comics at Granite, and I'll probably compile them into like a haul video. Maybe. I don't know. But this also just felt like a nice segue into more Halloween-oriented videos, since it is monster-ish, cryptid-y. I love cryptids. So it's also just cool to see a menagerie of them kind of pop up. I love Mothman being creepy for the fact that he gets to be creepy. He's Mothman. I think it's great. But yeah. Anyway, I will post where you can buy the book and the Webtoon if you want to look at it, and her website, and any other resources that I think I should be putting in the description. But if you've stuck around this long, thank you. And if you like this kind of comic, I actually just did a video on Webtoon werewolves or werewolf-oriented Webtoons. Anyway, thank you for sticking around if you've stuck around, and I will try to make something new soon. Have a good night.